You spend your whole life stuck in the labyrinth, thinking about how you'll escape it one day and how awesome it'll be, and imagining the future that keeps you going. But you never do it. You just use the future to escape the present. John Green. Over the last decade or so, social media has become a sort of labyrinth on the rise. People say that it's our future, but the real question is it the right future? The future that will propel generations to come to successful livelihoods, ultimately propelling them to happiness? Or is it damaging people's mental health and perceptions of themselves? Picture this. You're a 15-year-old girl who relies heavily on social media for her confidence and self-esteem. You feel as if one negative comment could cause your whole world to crumble. What does her positive future look like? Surprise, it isn't positive. It's stressful, hurtful, and exhausting. You may or may not have known this, but every time you scroll through Instagram, TikTok, or hey, even Twitter, you're receiving subliminal messages. These messages vary from person to person. For example, for me, it's the constant reminder that you aren't good enough if you don't study a certain amount of hours or if you don't look or act a certain type of way. These subliminal messages will and do eventually wear your self-esteem down, whether you realize it or not. But it's not just that. Children on social media don't know what the difference is between real and fake. Is this the future we want? A future where nobody knows the difference between reality and a false reality that we create on our screens? An article from eatingdisorder.hope states, the more friends and followers you have, the more valuable you feel. This is extremely concerning for society who relies so heavily on social media. This idea directly contradicts the age-old tale that having a small group of friends who cares for you is better than having a large group of friends who don't. If we add this belief to the current world of social media, one driven by how many followers you have, it makes for a very scary reading indeed, and its impact on our mental health cannot be underestimated. Essentially, by creating a false reality on our screens, we are lying to ourselves and lying to all the future generations to come. Sad, pathetic lies, all in the name of looking good for an Instagram post or posing for a Snapchat story. The Kardashians are a great example of this. Everyone knows that they don't look like that in real life. But 20 seasons later, we still diligently follow their dramas, and we all still play into it. Why? The ins and outs of social media are very complex, especially for an adolescent mind. As someone who's a personal Instagram addict, it is very difficult to deal with the mass amount of hate comments I see being generated every day. People pick apart the actions, choices, looks, culture, and religions of humans they don't know, all in the name of creating content, which I then scroll through. Because I personally suffer from anxiety and can't do anything without plans, let's set an agenda for this talk. We'll delve into 3 major topics: addiction, anxiety, and depression. We can begin to understand the labyrinth of social media by looking at some stats. Research suggests that excessive use of social media can lead to anxiety, depression, and feelings of loneliness in teens aged 13 to 17. If the statistics show that social media usage in teens is essentially frying our brains, why do we rely so heavily on it? It's because we have to. In the future we are heading to, social media is a huge part of our lives. Everything happens on it. It is our main source of information. We are addicted to it. We find it physically difficult to put down our phones because we as a society have an addiction. In this quote-unquote labyrinth, the addiction to social media is very difficult to break and can leave so many of us feeling empty. But addiction is not the only effect of the labyrinth that is social media. And anxiety is also an effect that I'd like to delve into. We all put so much pressure on ourselves to be the same as what we see online, but that isn't possible. We are all different and unique and beautiful in our own way, and we don't need social media to set our own subconscious standards. And that is where I would like to go from here. Social media is a very detailed and complicated labyrinth, and where we go from here is up to our generation and the generations to come, and their perception of the world and the labyrinth that is social media. I want to plan for a positive future, one where we don't compare ourselves to what we see online. That future is healthy, that future is positive, and that future actually cares about our well-being. In essence, that future makes our world a better place. Thank you.